House Resolution number 283, introduced by Representative Moss, a resolution to declare May 4th, 2016 as Holocaust Remembrance Day in the state of Michigan.
The chair recognizes Representative Moss.
Members, if I could have your attention, please. This evening and tomorrow is Yom HaShoah, Holocaust Remembrance Day. Like most Jewish Americans, I can trace my lineage back to Eastern Europe. All of my great-grandparents left Europe in the early 1900s because of growing anti-Semitism that pushed them out. On my mother's side, my great-grandfather wrote letters back home begging for his family to join him in America. He sent money, he sent tickets, but the rest of the family never came over. And once the Holocaust began, he never heard from them again. They disappeared, and we can only presume what happened. On my father's side, through my great-grandfather, he had already was in America at the time, and he had heard what happened to his siblings. The Nazis rolled into their Polish town, gathered the Jews in the center of town, and had them dig holes in the dirt in front of them. The Nazis shot each of them, their dead bodies falling into the graves that they had dug for themselves. And among the dead were my great-grandfather's family. Many Jews in our country and here in Michigan have a family history that shares a similar fate to mine. For this reason, I went to a Jewish school growing up so that I could learn about my people's history and be able to share it so that it would never happen again. It was impressed upon us at a very young age that we would be among the last generation to know Holocaust survivors. And because of that, every student in my school had to complete a project to interview and document the experiences of a Holocaust survivor. And in 8th grade, I interviewed my grandparents' friend, George Vine, a member of my synagogue in West Bloomfield. As a kid in Poland, George and his family were taken to a ghetto at age 12 and sent to Auschwitz at age 15. His parents were sent to the gas chambers to die their very first day there. We look back at the Holocaust now as a definitive example of good versus evil, and that's clear in retrospect. But as it was happening, George told me at the time, we always felt like it was going to be a short time. We always felt like maybe it would be another month, another month, another month. We thought it couldn't go on like this. It's impossible. It's not human. It's not real, but it kept going on. And that's because the Holocaust didn't happen overnight. It's the story of how ignorance turned into discrimination fueled by propaganda. That can happen again. Scapegoating forcing segregation. That can happen again. Destroying businesses, ravaging homes, violence, murder, the extermination of a people. It can happen again. George promised his father that he would live to retell the stories of persecution and slaughter. His father told him, "You must survive, because someday people won't believe what happened." And he survived, came to America, built a career, started a family. George died a year and a half ago at age 87, and it was true. My generation was the last to know George and many other Holocaust survivors. We here are among the last people to know survivors of the Holocaust. We are losing our direct eyewitnesses to the worst horror in human history. And that's why we commemorate today as Holocaust Remembrance Day, Yom HaShoah, which is commemorated globally each year. That's why Michigan has been a leader in preserving the documentation of the Holocaust at the Holocaust Memorial Center in Farmington Hills. That's why my colleagues here in the Jewish caucus, Representatives Colton, Shore, and Wittenberg, and non-Jews alike, joined with me under the Capitol Rotunda last week to meet with Holocaust survivors so that we can make sure their stories will live on in eternity. As time takes us further away from what happened, each Holocaust Remembrance Day is even more important than the one before it. This has happened before, and only a short time ago in the course of human history, to people like me. And it can happen again to people like me and others unless we remember our history and learn from it. I ask for the passage of this resolution and welcome co-sponsorship for this resolution on the resolutions calendar. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Representative Moss. The question before the House is the adoption of House Resolution 283. All those in favor of the resolution will say aye. Those opposed will say nay. The resolution is adopted.